Hey, it's me, April Spectrum, and I'm going to talk to you about a very interesting phenomena called serotonin syndrome. So in my previous video, I noted how I had just gotten on SSRIs to help with my anxiety and depression, and how fantastic it was. And it really was. I felt way more confident, I felt just phenomenally better in all ways, and it was amazing. And honestly, I'll tangent off a little here, but I would love if there was like an opposite of SSRI type drug that would like reduce the amount of serotonin people got, so that people who are normally minded could actually experience what it's like to have an anxiety disorder or to have depression. Because I think a lot of people think that it's like, oh, they're just weak-minded and need to just man up or something, and I'm telling you what, the difference between having my medication and not is absolutely night and day. I recall making a comparison at one point, trying to describe it to a friend as, my nice day is probably how you'd feel right after you got a phone call informing you that a close family member or friend was dead. I wasn't exaggerating, it is really that different. Only, in addition to just generally feeling bad, I also had a lot of anxiety and this idea that I was incapable of making good decisions. So hopelessness, helplessness, and just general bad feeling combined. Versus on my medication, I felt confident and capable and just really positive, like everything was going to be okay no matter what. And it was an amazing feeling. So all of that was good. The idea of an SSRI is that you take it for a while to teach your brain what the correct level of serotonin is so that your brain starts producing the right amount, and it's supposed to take about a year. It took about 2 months. And I know this because I developed serotonin syndrome, which is basically when your brain overdoses on serotonin. So it's a little difficult for me to kind of know exactly when my symptoms started because a lot of it flew under the radar. One of the things that I had was nosebleeds. And I tend to get nosebleeds in the winter anyways because of how dry the air is. But I was getting them often enough that I wasn't feeling it. And of course now I'm having a pseudo nosebleed tickle in my nose thinking about it. But of course no blood. And I had one of those at work, and one of my coworkers like saw blood coming out my nose and was like, April, your nose is bleeding, like, did you know this? Okay, awkward moment. Another thing that began to happen was I began getting headaches, and they started out just kind of like, oh, maybe I'm having a sinus headache, maybe I'm getting that cold that's going around, to, wow, maybe I'm having this headache as a light sensitivity thing, or I've been watching too much TV or something, to really concerning, almost migraine level headaches. And they were centered like really towards the front of my head, like where the third eye is supposed to be. And of course, I didn't think anything of it, because the other symptoms that I had with the med, like soreness in my jaw and teeth grinding, things like that, were actually reducing. And also, you know, I was getting closer to having lucid dreams again, because one of the first things with med is my dreams were very vivid, but not very lucid, which I'm used to lucid dreaming since I was a child. And so, to my mind, I didn't connect that it could possibly be the medication, because everything bad that the medication had been doing was going away. And the next thing that began to happen is the one that's very concerning, and that is auditory and visual hallucinations. So, as best I can tell, it started with auditory. I'd be places and I'd think I'd hear someone calling my name, and I'd look around and no one was, and I'd say, well, maybe they're talking to someone else who has my name. Or maybe, you know, I have auditory processing disorder, maybe they said something else and I just misheard it and assumed it was my name. You know, like when it happens, you know, everybody has that happen. But it was happening very frequently, and it would be not just my name sometimes. Like, at one point, I was at the grocery store with my boyfriend, and I was eavesdropping on these ladies talking because they were talking about some new health food, and I'm always curious about that stuff. Hey! Quiet. The wrong dog apologized. Oh well. So they were talking about some health food, and I was listening, and they're in the middle of talking about it, and I swear it was in the voice of that one lady, and in the middle of her sentence, she stops and, oh, hey, April! Like, very intense, very, like, happy, upbeat, excited sounding. So, of course, I'm like, do I know this lady? Does she know me? So I look, and they're still having their conversation. Like, that obviously I misheard. So at that point, I was a little bit worried. But it still hadn't really connected for me. I was just like, something's weird, right? And then the visual hallucinations started. And they started when I was at work. And my work is kind of notorious for being haunted. I don't believe I've touched on this before, but I work in mental health. And for some reason, mental health facilities, or any really residential facility, tend to attract ghosts. And they're not really that big of a deal, but they're pretty well known. And of course, the first time I interacted with one, I was very reluctant to say anything because I didn't want anyone to think I was hallucinating and crazy, so I didn't say anything. But then someone brought them up at a meeting, and it turned out everyone on night staff knew about it, and they were all chill with it. And our supervisor even said, like, here's the deal, like, we get ghosts sometimes, they're just attention seeking, ignore them, eventually they'll get bored and go away, just don't interact, don't acknowledge them, and they'll go away. But if you feel okay with it, you can interact with them, it's up to you. But if you're worried about it, just ignore them and pretend like they're not there. And if you get overloaded, this staff member and that staff member have methods. So-and-so's aunt is an exorcist or something, and this one's a pagan and voodoo, whatever. Okay. So I didn't really think much of it when I started hallucinating at work because I assumed it was just more ghosts. I would see a vague humanoid figure that was dark, almost like a shadow, or motions at the corners of my eyes. And these are things that I've learned over and over, repeatedly, both when I was in school for teaching and when I was learning and training for mental health, are signs of early stage hallucination. But it didn't register to me. So this went on for very nearly a week, and they were slowly becoming more detailed hallucinations. So the shadowy figure now was, I could tell where the face was and where the hair was, but not really see any facial features. I could tell what color clothes they were wearing, but not really the cut of their clothes and whether their jacket was a zip-up or a button-up, that sort of thing. And occasionally a cat would be mixed in with it, and that was sort of a red flag for me, because although I love cats, ever since I was a very small child, anytime I get sick, I dream about cats, or when I've twice had fevers high enough to produce hallucinations, I would hallucinate cats. And I suspect it's because I've always loved cats, and so it's my mind telling me, hey, everything's gonna be okay, here's a cute kitty, you know? So I started hallucinating cats, and my neighborhood's full of cats, so it didn't really register until I saw one at work, and I knew that could not possibly be there, because how would a cat get into the building? And moreover, why would it be there? So that's when I started getting concerned, but I still hadn't quite put together what was what about it. And the final straw was I was sitting here, actually in this exact spot in my kitchen, having breakfast of cereal, which I stole from my boyfriend because he has cereal and I didn't. And I swear to God, I saw my roommate walk into the kitchen and stand over by our washer and dryer. And I was like, oh, great. I had wanted to talk to him about something, and I honestly don't remember what it was that I wanted to ask him, but I had something I'd wanted to say. So I was like, hey, you know, I had this question for you. I start talking, but I'm eating my cereal, so I'm not facing him. And he didn't answer. So I turn around and I look, and he's not there. So I think to myself, oh my God, what an asshole. He just freaking walked away while I was talking to him. So my other roommate comes out to get some breakfast, and I was like, hey, did you see where he went? And he's like, oh, I think he was going to the gym, but I'm not sure. I was still kind of sleeping when he left. I think that was about an hour ago, so he should be back soon. And I'm like, wait a minute. If he left an hour ago, what was he doing right there? And I thought, that's really weird, like, really weird. So I was quite concerned. And then I hallucinated again when I knew where both my roommates and my boyfriend were. I hallucinated again and saw someone standing in the kitchen with me. And this time, I looked clearly at them and I saw they did not have a face. They were not a real person and they dissipated right before my eyes. And I knew at that point that there was a problem because, of course, my house is not haunted. And also, that's not how ghosts are for me. So I was very, very concerned at that point, but I still hadn't put together why I was hallucinating. I just knew that at this point I realized I was seeing something and it didn't make sense. But I didn't say anything because I was concerned that people would think I was crazy, of course. So I held off for another 3 days and I was like, shit, fuck, what do I do? I was like, oh man, I have to last a couple more days, I have to get to the weekend, and then I can try and sort this out. Oh gosh, what if my work finds out they're gonna fire me? Like, all this sort of thing. So, finally, for some reason it took actually being at work and seeing one of our questionnaires we have for the kids that mentions hallucinations for me to realize that this was actually, for reals, a hallucination. And then, at that point, it took me fretting about it for a while before I finally was scared enough to say something. So, of course, I have a big panicking, crying fit and tell my boyfriend, oh my god, I'm freaking crazy, I'm seeing it. So I tell him, and the first thing he does is he goes, oh my gosh, like, why didn't you say anything? Here, have a hug, it's gonna be okay, you're safe, this is real, like, I'll take care of it. Yes. And then, he starts looking it up online, and his first thought is, what if this is a side effect of your med? Which, it was. Moreover, it was a rare and sometimes fatal syndrome that sometimes occurs as a side effect of my med. And of course, so I knew something was up because he's looking at his phone and all of a sudden his eyes get all huge and he's just like, stop taking it. And I'm like, what? And he's like, don't take your med anymore. Did you take it today? If you did, go make yourself puke. And I was like, whoa, chill down. So we explained what it was, and so first thing in the morning we called my doctor and let them know what was going on and got off my med. And no hallucinations, very few negative side effects from getting off of it. I'm actually still doing really well because, like I said, my brain learns the correct amount of serotonin to have, so that's good. But the negative side effect that I'm seeing is randomized, very intense bouts of anxiety or depression that are short-lived but very intense. So last night I was in the middle of crocheting. I was making a new sweater for my dog. Yeah, I know, I'm that lady. And all of a sudden in the middle of a row, I'm just like, oh, what's the point of anything? I should just be dead. My poor dog doesn't deserve to have such a horrible, worthless human as me. And I was like, oh, that's fucked up. This is trouble. And within the space of a few moments, I was freaking bawling my eyes out. My dog's over here, oh no, pat paws on my knee, like, Mom, come on, cheer up, because she's a service dog. It's her job. And I'm just freaking bawling, like losing it, like 2-year-old being denied ice cream status, crying. And, yeah, so then, like, it was at the point where I was, like, struggling to breathe because I was crying so hard, and then just as quickly, like, you know, about 5, maybe 10 minutes later, it was just gone. Oh, everything's fine again. Wow, that was embarrassing. Wipes the tears, wipes the snot. Okay, well, now I'm exhausted, and I'm gonna go sleep. Weird, right? But other than that, things are actually pretty good right now. But, moral to the story, if you're concerned that you're hallucinating, go online and read the side effects of your meds, because they can start at any time, and also tell people, and also it's probably not schizophrenia, which is what I randomly decided I must have, even though I'm way outside of the age range for that. So yeah, that's what's happening in my life. When I finish my puppy sweater, I'm going to post a picture of it on my Twitter. I did finish one version of it, but it was like really small, and she couldn't breathe while wearing it, even though she was really excited to put it on. So I had to take it apart, and I'm adding some stuff to it. Anyways, I'll post a picture of that on my Twitter. Same thing, at April Spectrum. And yeah, I'll try to keep you guys updated far more often with videos, although I think I will go back to doing actual, like, semi-political topics, because that's just what I'm interested in right now. Anyways, like, subscribe, comment, blah, blah, blah. You know how YouTube works. Talk to you guys later.